it's Bren. It's a random weeknight. I had a few drinks with a friend and they went home and I have stuff I want to tell you. I have some stuff I can tell you and then I have some other stuff I really want to tell you, but I can't because someone asked me not to put it on the internet just in case. But I want to tell you so bad. But I'll stick to the things I can say. It hasn't been that long since my last video. Thanks again for all the positive comments. Anytime I even just get a comment saying that someone enjoys listening to me talk, it thrills me. This is another bad lighting video. And honestly, I think it might be the iMovie application that I'm filming in because I was on Zoom the other day with horrible lighting and I looked super clear. So I don't even think it's my camera. I think it's just like iMovie maybe. I'll have to investigate. But I want to start by telling you about something kind of silly that I did, which is that I got an online tarot card reading from an Instagram psychic. I know. Woo-woo, it sounds crazy. It was just for fun. It was something I did for fun, and it was something I did to refocus my mind because my mind was focusing on something that I didn't want to focus on, and I needed something else to kind of think about, and it totally worked. It completely reframed my mind, and now I'm thinking about this instead of that, which is exactly what I wanted and was completely worth the money, which I didn't pay that much. But here's the thing. This is someone that I just found on like Instagram Reels, and I think it's maybe because I follow a lot of like pet content and dog content, and then that led to like some pet psychic stuff, and then now all of a sudden a psychic on my Instagram. But she seemed really nice and fun, and you know, she talks about a lot of like reincarnation stuff and past lives, and I just find it kind of an interesting thought experiment, even if you don't believe it. So I follow her, and I'd kind of toyed around with the idea of like, I should do a session. I should see how much she charges, and it's not that much. So I decided to do it. And there was something that made me pull the trigger, and I'll get into that later. But basically, I don't know how you all feel about this kind of thing. I think that with psychics and mediums and tarot card readers and all of that, 98% of them probably completely have no psychic abilities or powers at all. But I'm tempted to think that certain people do have a gift of some sort, because my grandmother on my mom's side was very ultra religious, and she had like out of body experiences and whatnot, and she also had premonitions. And so when I was growing up, anytime my sister or I were sick, you know, she'd call and be like, which one of the girls is sick? You know, she knew things. There are stories in my family that go back with people seeing things and finding out things and knowing things. And I am not religious in terms of being part of any particular organized religion. I was raised Christian, but I think that the older that I got, the more I kind of just thought to myself, like, out of all the religions in the world, how can you possibly know that you were just born into the right one, right? And I tend to take the opinion that maybe all religions are a little bit right and a little bit wrong. Because religions and organized religions are man-made and man-created, and unfortunately over time have been used to manipulate and control people oftentimes, as much as they've been used to explain phenomenon that we couldn't explain because we didn't have science yet. But just because I'm not part of an organized religion anymore does not mean that I'm not spiritual and that I don't believe that there's something else out there. I do believe that the soul and the body are not the same and that there is some kind of disconnection. And I think reincarnation makes a lot of sense. The more I think about it, the more I hear about it. There's evidence for it in some cases, and I kind of feel like, yeah, that could be a thing. Like, the only thing that I know for sure is that we don't know. Nobody on this planet knows what happens after you die. Nobody knows who is God and why are we here. We just don't know. And I talked about this previously in a video that I made on this channel called The Cats in an Apartment Theory, and I get really philosophical in that video. But basically, what I'm trying to say here is, I think most like psychics and tarot card readers are probably totally scams, and some of them may have ill intent and others may have good intentions and think that they're for real but not really be. But maybe there's just a small percentage of them that actually know something. So my experience prior to this has been, I've had 3 different kind of like experiences with psychics, so to speak. One was in 2013. I was going through a really hard time. Y'all know how bad that year was for me. One of the worst. And after Jack and I broke up, I went to this like locally famous psychic who was like on the news and stuff, the local news around here. And she read tarot cards. And I remember she was very into like, what's your sign? What's his sign? What's everybody's birthday? All that stuff. And she read my cards, and I felt like it was a complete waste of money. Nothing she told me came true. She told me Jack would come back to me in the fall. That didn't happen. It really seemed like a waste. But a few years later, in maybe, I think like probably 2016, because Roxy, my golden retriever, had just passed away, I went to this psychic at a bar one night with my sister and a friend. And the three of us were at the bar, and you could sign up to like sit with the psychic for 10 minutes, and it cost like 20 bucks. So we did it. And she was a psychic medium, so I had gone in with Roxy's collar, and I was like, tell me what my dog's doing right now. And she was like, I'm sorry, I don't do pet readings because I just don't speak that language. But you know, do you have anyone else you want to connect with, or do you want just a general reading? And I didn't know, because I was like, oh, well, that stinks, you know. But I didn't want to not get one because my friends were getting one. So I was like, just give me a general reading then. And I remember she told me two things. She said, you're a writer. Why aren't you writing anymore? Which was like, whoa, how did she know that? And also, as I was walking away, she goes, what kind of dog did you have? And I said, I had a golden retriever, and before that, a boxer. And she was like, huh, that's strange. I see you with like a French bulldog. And I was like, French bulldog? Like, that's weird. Okay. And this was 2016. French bulldogs were not common. They had not blown up. They were not like a super popular dog like they are now. And I'm going to tell you the God honest truth. I did not remember that until after I got Roscoe, who is half French bulldog. I swear to you, I did not remember that she said that. And then one day after I already had him, I was like thinking about that. And I was like, I think that psychic... Dang, that psychic actually told me she saw me with a French bulldog, and now I have one. Like, I totally didn't get him because of that. So maybe she had something. Oh, and then the other thing about her was she talked to my sister next, and my sister brought pictures of my grandparents, and my mom's mom, the one I was just telling you about, apparently came screaming through and was like, I need to talk to you, and told my sister, you need to get out of the violent relationship that you are in. And my sister was in a relationship at the time with someone who was physically abusive. And my grandmother is exactly the kind of person who would bust right through that psychic and be like, I'm going to talk to her and I'm going to tell her what's up. So I think that lady might have had something. And then she had recommended a pet psychic to me when she couldn't do my pet reading. And I was mourning at the time. I was very sad, having just lost Roxy. And I paid, and I'm not proud of this, $300 for a phone call with a nationally renowned pet psychic who was on Sirius XM and all this stuff. Apparently, I'd never heard of her. I only just got this recommendation from this bar psychic. But she was supposed to be the best, just amazing, crazy, so good. I had my $300 phone call, and prior to that, I'd sent her pictures of Bronx, Roxy, and Clover, the cat that I currently had. So 2 passed on dogs and the cat I currently still have. And during the phone call, she got the dogs' names wrong a couple times. She told me, like, Roxy had hip dysplasia, which I'm assuming she just assumed because she was a golden, but I was like, she didn't actually have any problems with her hips at all that I knew of. So that seemed like maybe she was just trying to go for something easy to assume, but it wasn't true. And I felt like there was absolutely no connection whatsoever with my dogs who had passed on. However, she told me Clover wanted to know what happened to her red bowl. And I had gotten rid of a red water bowl for her a little earlier. And that Clover very much liked my hair and thought it looked a bit like her hair. And Clover does always want to groom me and lick my hair and lick my head. I wake up some morning, she's licking my hair. It's disgusting. And after the reading, I hung up the phone. I walked into the other room, and Clover was standing up in the corner, like in a weird way that she never would, with her eyes just big, staring at me. And I'm like, Clover, did we just like have a conversation? It was kind of weird. but not worth $300. Up until now, those were the only times I ever tried to do anything like that. And again, I think it's mostly for fun. If you're going to spend money on that kind of thing, again, the $300, that was because I was in mourning. And honestly, the first time I went to that psychic, it was because I was heartbroken and looking for answers, and therapy wasn't helping. So let's try this. And then the $20 at the bar was just for fun. My friends were doing it. It's fun. But that was probably the most real one. You should only do it, my recommendation is, if it's fun and you're spending the money on fun. It's like going to a casino. If you're going to say to yourself at the beginning of the night, I got $100 to spend at this casino, and that's what you've decided you're going to lose because it's going to be fun, spend the money. But don't plan on getting anything for that other than the experience. Know you're losing that money. So that's how I went into this. Something happened. I was like, I need to refocus my mind. I need to give myself something else to think about. I've been thinking about doing this session with this Instagram psychic. I wonder how much she charges. And then I went online and I saw it was only $50. And I was like, $50 is like a dinner and a couple of drinks with a friend on a night out. I'll spend $50 just going to dinner. So I'll spend it on this instead on this particular night, and it'll be fun and interesting. And I'll just, we'll see how it goes. So I get on the call and I tell her I want a love reading. And she's like, ooh, okay, I love love readings. And she was really nice. Makes you feel really comfortable, blah, blah, blah. And she just asked, the only thing I told her was, she was like, is this about someone or some situation specifically? And I was like, no, just general. And she goes, okay. So she actually, it was 15 minutes and she pulled a lot of cards. It went really fast. I have a recording of it too, which is interesting. And so basically what it said, and I'm gonna actually, what I'm scrolling to right now is the text message that I sent my friend Cassie after it was over, because I recapped it for her. So the first card she pulled was getting over the past, leaving the past behind. She's like, this could mean you, or it could mean them, the person that you're gonna meet. One of you needs to leave the past behind, or you both do. And then she pulled a finance card. She was like, something to do with this relationship has something to do with finance. This could mean a lot of things, but the finances are going to be involved somehow. And she also pulled the happiness card. She said, this is like the best card you can get, in my opinion. Happiness, like you will be happy with this person. She pulled the union card. She said, this doesn't necessarily mean marriage, but it means something more than just a long-term relationship, like a domestic partnership, etc. But then she pulled the conflict card and she said, this is normal. Every relationship has some amount of conflict. Conflict and trust came up together. She says, I'm feeling that there is going to be some conflict in this relationship regarding trust. And it probably goes back to that something, letting go of the past. Like there's going to be something in one or both of your past that is going to cause you to have trust issues, which is something you're going to have to overcome. However, I'm feeling like this is something you should overcome. You should work through it, and you can work through it. So, but it will be there. But in the end, you will be happy. She said, so she did pull the soul contract card, which she said meant that we came into this life having a contract that we were going to get together. But she also pulled the worth the wait card, which at first she said that could mean it's going to be a while before you meet this person. And I was like, well, that sucks. She could tell I wasn't happy with that. As she was going, she's like, what else do you want to know? We still have time. So she's reshuffling. And I'm like, well, I guess what am I supposed to be doing in the meantime? So all this stuff came up about working on yourself, knowing what you did in your past relationships, figuring that out, so that you're ready to meet this person. And I said, how am I going to meet this person? And she said, well, I feel like you're going to meet this person organically. The finance card came up again. She said, this could mean that you meet this person at work, even though my job has nothing to do with finances. It could, but finances are going to come into play somehow. But she's like, I really don't feel like you're going to meet this person online. She said she has an online card that comes up in almost every reading, so that it almost doesn't mean anything anymore when it comes up, but it was not coming up for me. So she really feels I'm going to meet this person organically. And I said, well, should I not online date? And she said, I really don't think you should, because what I'm really getting is that it's going to be best for you to be single when you meet this person. So the best thing that you can be doing right now, she's like, is working on yourself. It's a bummer to hear, but don't necessarily go. She's like, sometimes I tell people they need to go out there, they need to date around, they need to meet people. She's like, that comes through a lot. I'm getting the opposite for you. I'm getting that you just need to like be on your own, be single, and this person is going to come into your life. But she got the taking it slow card. She got travel, which is great. She got, she said this person's going to have a masculine energy that for you is going to feel like they are a protector and you feel safe with them, which is interesting because I am an insanely independent person. Being a single woman for this long, for being 42 years old and having been on my own since I got divorced at 27, and even in my marriage, having like a separate bank account and taking care of myself and still paying my half of everything no matter what I was doing and if I was in school or working or whatever, I have never in my life relied on a man. And I sometimes feel like, I felt like with Ian, that bothered him a little, that I didn't let him hold doors for me or do things for me. I didn't even like let him take the trash out. I was like, this is my house, I can take the trash out. Like it almost felt like insulting to me that a man felt like they needed to do that kind of thing for me. And then I had to kind of realize though, like men like to feel useful, so you have to let them do stuff even if you could totally just do it yourself. But I think sometimes I just get so independent. I can't imagine ever letting my money or finances be up to another person ever. I don't trust anybody with that kind of thing. The last person I trusted with money was my ex-husband, only because he worked in finance. This finance card coming up is funny to me because it makes me think of, I'm looking for a man in finance. But every time I hear that stupid jingle, song, TikTok, whatever, I'm like, no, do not. I was with a guy in finance. They're all douchebags, and all his friends he worked with were douchebags. I don't want a guy in finance. But anyway, what else came up? So then I was like, when am I going to meet this person? And she's like, let me do another shuffle. Let me see if I can get a time card for you. She said, I can never guarantee timing because it has to do with free will, but I'll see what comes up. If I get timing, I'll tell you. So now she goes, I got a timing card. She says, it's fall. She shows me the card. Fall means September through November. And then she got the coming soon card. She says coming, she was like, oh, she's like, coming soon means usually within a year, but this could mean that it's next fall. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's this fall. And I said, well, yeah, but you also got the worth the wait card. And she said, well, the worth the wait card oftentimes means that you had things to do in this life before you meet this person, and that they had things to do. That you know you were going to come into this life and you had to get things done before you could be together. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a long time before you meet them from the time of the reading. What else? Oh, the patience card came up, and I'm just like, yeah, of course. Let's see. I'm reading the text. I think that's pretty much it. So like no online dating, something with finance, happiness, having to overcome some trust issues and get over the past, but this person could be coming to me soon, but I'm not going to meet them online. So I was joking to Cassie. I was like, apparently I just need to start hanging out at banks, you know, like maybe the financial aid office at work, since I work in higher ed, even though I think it's all women staffing our financial aid office. You know, I mean, I don't really know what to do with that. And here's the thing about psychics and tarot readings in general. If you want to believe them, horoscopes too, this completely applies to horoscopes. If you want to believe it, you can apply it to your own life, right? Like no matter what sign you told me I was, I could read about that sign and be like, oh yeah, that's me. You know how people are like, I'm such a Leo, I'm such a Scorpio, blah, blah, blah. Well, like everybody could apply any of those descriptions to their life if you want to. And I think that it's the same with these psychic readings and these tarot readings and stuff like that. It's like it all is such a general interpretation that it's like if you want to believe it, you can believe it. So, you know, when I sit there and I try to think, oh, well, maybe this card could mean this, that right there is a stretch, right? Because you could make it mean anything, but let's just entertain the idea that this could be true for a minute. Then what I would want that finance card to mean would be that I finally met a guy who has their finances together, that I don't have to support them, that we can like do fun things together and not worry about money so much. Like I was talking about in my last video, just wanting to meet someone with like the freedom and time and funds to do things like I can. But I don't know. It's probably all complete crap, but it was fun. And I did like an online tarot card read, like one of those, like a free tarot card reading after that, where I just like pulled some cards, and funny enough, they did like really match up with what this person said. And then I did it again and they didn't match up. So I'm like, oh, I think you just have to, like, you can only do it once. So there are cards out there that wouldn't have matched up, but I don't know. So I went out with my friend from Bumble again on Friday, and I had just had this tarot card reading. So I told her about it. We were laughing about it, but it was funny because everywhere we went, I'm like, do any of the men here look like they have trust issues? Look for a man with trust issues. And we actually started talking to this guy who was sitting next to us at the bar that we were at. And he seems kind of like the big man on campus of this cute little cocktail place. Like everybody just knows him there. And he was very tall and kind of a bigger framed guy. So before he opened his mouth, I kind of was thinking like, oh, could this be my mystery man? Like, you know, he's at he chose a cool place to go to, and he seems to kind of be here alone, but yet know people. Then he started talking to us, and he was one of those guys who just had to top you on everything. Like, no matter what you said, he knew more about it. No matter what you told him you liked, he liked something better. She was talking, my friend was talking about how she was going to this like Michelin star restaurant in Chicago the next day, and he's like, I've been to Michelin star restaurants, let me tell you about them, blah, blah, blah. Then he had to list off what he thought were the 5 best cocktail bars in the city. And when we were like, what about this one? What about this one? He was like, oh, I don't know about those. Like, he hadn't been there, so he just wanted to ignore them. But it was like, oh, actually, you know, like he just was a know-it-all. And I even told him, so one of the bars that he was on his list was the place that we played trivia every week. And I was like, yeah, I'm there every week. Actually, their cocktails aren't that good. And then I told him about the trivia, and he pretended like, oh, I know the guy who runs that trivia, blah, blah, blah. What is his name? Like Bob? And I'm like, actually, no, his name is Mike. And like, my family's like friends with him now. Like, I actually know him a little bit. And he was like, yeah, I know him. He knows me, blah, blah. And then I'm like, I can just tell this guy is a BSer. So I'm like, well, what's your last name? I'll tell Mike you said hi this week. And he was like, oh, well, I don't even remember our team name. Like, he completely skipped past the last name thing. And he was like, I don't even remember what our team name was last time we played, but I'll have to ask my friend what our team name was, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't know, Mike. But, you know, but he just was one of those. But at one point, he kind of turned away and started talking to someone else, and my friend goes, are you into this guy? Do you like this guy? And I was like, well, I don't think so anymore, because I'm pretty sure he knows everything about everything a little bit more than I do. And she was laughing. And then on the way home, I was cracking her up. I was like, she was like, I really want to know what kind of music that guy listens to. And I'm like, whatever it is, it's cooler and more like underground and indie than anything we listen to. But I'm pretty sure that even if he said New Found Glory was his favorite band, and I would say, well, actually New Found Glory has been my favorite band since 2000, he would say New Found Glory has been my favorite band since 1999, and I would say I've seen New Found Glory live 75 times, and he would say, she's like, he saw them 76 times, and I mean, he was just that kind of person. But I feel like me and this girl, we didn't have an instant clicking when we first met to where our personalities just gelled. But now that the more and more we hang out, the more we like start clicking a little bit more. And once I can start cracking someone up, that's when we become friends. If I can make you laugh, then we'll be friends. And so I feel like we finally were finding that groove where we were laughing together and I was getting her laugh. So, you know, and again, she seems really nice. So we had a good time. And then I had the trivia tournament finals the next morning, and I will tell you, I had 3 $15 cocktails at a very fancy cocktail bar with very strong drinks, and I had a migraine the next day. And that is crazy because even just a year ago, that would have been nothing for me. But on this semaglutide, I can't drink like I used to, or maybe it's just because I haven't been, so my tolerance is super low. So yeah, whew. But it's all right. I'm okay now. Everything's fine. But as I was mentioning earlier, I think the reason that I did the tarot reading was, if you watched my last video and you watched all the way to the end, the whole thing, you know that at the very end, I threw in a little tidbit about how I found out Ian was possibly dating someone else now, and how I didn't care, but there were a couple of things that I was thinking about with regards to it. And I think it was kind of a, like, why am I not dating? Like, it was not at all caring that he is, but feeling like, well, if he is, I should be. Like, just kind of a, like, well, that's not fair. Like, the video before that, I had been talking about seeing that, like, someone that I went on a few dates with was now engaged. And being like, why is everybody that I've dated and been out with, like, they're now finding people and I'm still alone? But, like, I have to keep telling myself, like, girl, you have not been trying. You haven't been dating. You have been working on yourself like the psychic says you should be. So no wonder you're still single. You haven't been anywhere where you could have even met anyone. Like, when I go out, it's just like a one-on-one with somebody, and we're not usually like talking to other people like we happened to be this past Friday, but usually it's not like that. It's just like me and Robin, me and Cassie, or me and this girl, and we're just out one-on-one, and we're not like meeting people, and I'm not putting myself in positions to meet people. I've been hermiting all summer, trying to lose weight. So of course I haven't, but still made me feel a little bit like I should. And then I kind of was thinking about how I mentioned to you guys that I knew exactly who this woman was that Ian, according to my mother, is dating. Although I've also heard from other people that maybe they're not. It was just I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the point is that I said, you know, she's 50 with grown kids. I don't, and he had previously told me that she was into him, but he would never date her because she was too old. And as I was editing back the video, my thought that I mentioned in the video was, it won't last. It was like, I can't see a woman who's 50 with grown kids putting up with him, you know, for very long. But then I was thinking later, I'm like, he also talked shit about her a lot. Like, at one point he told me that he thought she was having a midlife crisis because she went on a vacation by herself. And then at another point, he saw that she had become friends with this other girl that he hates. And he said, oh, well, annoying and pathetic attracts annoying and pathetic. That makes sense. Indicating, or like implying that because they were both annoying and pathetic, they were like friends now. And it got me, like, first of all, feeling bad for her, because how would you like to be hooking up with a guy and then find out that he talked bad about you? But also, I was like, have I ever like talked trash about someone and then hooked up with them? And I couldn't come up with a single instance where I've done that. However, it's scary to think that I may have been the victim of that at certain points. But I was telling my Bumble friend about it, and I was like, and actually I was telling Pete about this too, and I was like, you know, it has me thinking, like, did he just talk trash about her to me because he did like her and he wanted me to think that he did it? I'm like, but more so, and Bumble Girl finished my sentence for me. I was like, more so, it's just that men will hook up with anybody. She was like, girl, that is the truth. Like, he probably does find her annoying and pathetic, but like, that doesn't mean he's not going to hook up with her. If he's single and she's there, like, they're going to, like, it just makes me like hate men even more because it's so true. Like, but I hate to think that I've been that girl before. That I've been with guys and I think like they really like me and everything, but then like maybe they actually talked crap about me before we got together and called me annoying and pathetic. I don't know. But here's the bottom line. She's too good for him. I think she is too good for him. But she's going to have to figure that out for herself the same way that I did. I don't want to talk about that anymore on this channel ever again. I don't want to talk about him anymore on this channel ever again. But I will say this. I recently found out something else about someone else that I've dated in the past. And this is the thing that I want to tell you so bad. I want to tell you so bad about this other thing that I found out. And it's about an ex, but I said I wouldn't tell. But I'll put it this way. This is so much more of a big deal than like finding out my most recent ex is maybe dating someone else now. This is so much more of a big deal than that. And it's something that conceivably could upset me so much more. But it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. I found out and it was just kind of like nothing. It was kind of like, oh, well, I was actually like, I'm happy for you. Congratulations. And then there's this little voice in the back of my head that's like, do you mean this? And then I'm like, yeah, I actually do think I mean this. Like, I'm actually totally fine with this. And I feel like in general, I'm in a really good place right now to find a new relationship that could be like the one that lasts. I told the psychic I'm a blank slate right now. And I meant that. And when she keeps going on about like leave the past behind and blah, 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 I'm like, I feel like I have though. I feel like I am working on myself, you know? It must be him. It must be the person I'm supposed to meet. Still needs some time to figure things out. Maybe they have kids and their kids need to get grown before we can meet. I don't know. But I asked Pete last time we were hanging out. I was like, look, I'm going to ask you a question. We'd had a couple drinks and I was like, I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to be nice, but honest. And he's like, what are you going to say? And I'm like, I want you to be nice, but honest. I want you to be honest with me, but don't make me upset. And I was like, the psychic said I need to evaluate like the things that I've done in past relationships so that I can grow from those and not take it into the next one. I'm like, so what was like the worst thing about dating me? He's like, what? That is such a loaded question. He's like, how am I supposed to answer this? But he was like, well, honestly, I think that, you know, if I didn't have kids and I didn't have the baby mama drama, you and I would have been great. We would have been very happy together. And I'm like, okay, but like, so it was 100% that I just wasn't like Mary Poppins and Stepmom of the Year. I'm like, that was it, you know? And I think that's actually kind of crazy because it's not like I was bad with his kids. I wasn't bad with them at all. They liked me. And I was good with Ian's kids and Ian's kids loved me. But I guess I didn't want to be their mom. You know what I mean? And he was looking for someone who wanted to be their mom. And I just wanted to be like, Dad's cool girlfriend and I don't have to worry about it. We can hang out in color, but I'm not like responsible. And he wanted someone who was full in mom. And he found that in Emily. And it even kind of came up. He's like, honestly, you guys were no overlap. You were this. And you had these good qualities, and we had so much fun going out together and doing things together and having fun and going out of town and going on trips. And she was all the way over here.
Editing Bren here, and I have to just pop in to clarify something. I'm the one who brought up the kids in general during this conversation. He didn't bring it up. And while I think it is probably true that she was a little bit like more involved with them than I wanted to be, I don't think that that is at all why he gravitated towards her and away from me at times. As I've said before, I think it's simply that she did not require any change from him. She did not require any compromise, whereas in order to be with him and for us to be happy, I was asking him to make some adjustments and basically be cleaner, teach his kids to be cleaner. I didn't want to be his maid. And I really don't think that he had this great struggle in his mind because she was better with the kids than I was. I simply think it's just that like I was fun and funny and cool and we liked to do the same things, but I wanted him to pick up after himself, and she was over there just ready to be his housewife and pick up after him and did not require any change from him, despite the fact that then she was lacking in some of the areas where I was a pro. Like, she doesn't like to go out and do the same things, that kind of things.
It's not that I'm like evil stepmom or anything. I think it was just more that I didn't know what I was doing when I was first dating Pete and his kids were so little. But he also didn't know what he was doing. But the biggest problem with our relationship was that he didn't want to compromise at all. Zero. And he admits that. And he basically told me that none of the problems in our relationship were my fault. That was pretty much it. Like, he found Emily and she did want to be their mom. And that was, and again, he didn't pick her. As I explained in the Pete video, he didn't choose her. He just didn't choose. And I was sick of being in the love triangle and I left. So he ended up with her by default. But like, you know, he basically told me like if I didn't have kids, we would have been happy. And there was really nothing else he could tell me except that he said one other thing. He said, when you had anxiety, I didn't know how to deal with it because I don't have or understand anxiety. So I'm like, so you're saying that like my anxiety is a problem and he was just like, I just didn't understand it. So I guess I could like think about that. I could be like, well, I guess next time I'm dating someone, I need to like not like let my anxiety spiral, or try to talk to them about it when they don't understand it, or try to talk about it a different way. That was pretty much all I got from the entire conversation. I don't know. I guess that's it for tonight. A shorter one, but it's still long. But it's a Monday night, so I should probably go to bed. But yeah, I just felt like I had to get that out. So let me know your thoughts on tarot card readings. Again, I'm a skeptic. You don't have to tell me that it's probably all crap. But wouldn't it be funny if I did meet someone in the next couple of months and it did have something to do with finance, and they did end up being my soul contract person? I don't know. I guess time will tell. But I think I'm going to stick to the original plan. So she straight up told me, like, don't online date. You're not going to meet that way, right? I had just already told you all in my last video that I have a plan, and my plan is to get back on the dating websites in November when the election's over and my job has slowed down and the weather is colder and I can wear cuter outfits and everyone else is getting on the dating websites right around the holidays. It's the perfect time for me to get on there. If I get on there by mid-November, let's just say this tarot card reading is real, right? At that point, like, the fall is almost over. Well, I'm not going to sit around and be single for a whole year and wait for next fall. So at that point, I guess I'll know it's not true, so I might as well get back on there. Or maybe I won't need to because I'll meet someone before then. But I think I just need to stick to my plan. And that was my plan. But I'm definitely starting to get antsy. I'm definitely starting to get, like, a little bit bored. Because I don't feel lonely. I feel like I've got a really good friend group, and I've got my pets, and I've got the things that I do and my job and everything. So I don't know that lonely is the right word. Bored, kind of, in that, like, I want people to do stuff with, but also just kind of like I'm ready. Like, oh my God, I'm 42. I feel like Charlotte in Sex and the City, that line where she says, I've been dating since I was 16. I'm exhausted. Where is he? Did I say that line from Sex and the City in my last video? Was that in there too? It's been on my mind lately, but I can't remember if I told a friend or I told you all. But I recently quoted that to someone else. All right. Thanks for watching. And thanks again for all your great comments that keep me doing this, because it is kind of hard to put yourself out there on the internet and be vulnerable. But this is my therapy, and mostly it helps me. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Okay, I don't know how to end this one, so I'm just going to. Bye.